I've been traveling non-stop for the past year, and it's like every trip I try to find ways to make them easier on me. Trust me, I've gone to the extent of replacing my laptop with my M4 iPad Pro, buying proper MagSafe cases for my Samsung so I can easily use my speak in one tap to rig my phone for movies on the plane. I've also replaced my MOFT wallet with their tripod to consume content more comfortably wherever I go. Like, I'm constantly just trying new things and documenting them so I can make traveling and work a lot easier within my trips. And look, I know just recently I made a travel EDC video, but I do wish I had included what I like to call the perfect everyday carry companion for travel. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Apple Vision Pro on a budget, and a lot smaller and easier to carry. Oh, and it's also Android based. Often when I travel, I feel like there are ways to condense, or at least bring items that, I don't know, can do two things in one. And this here is by no means a phone replacement. XREAL is not trying to sell you a phone. I like to think of this as a media streaming tablet replacement that can do a lot more. About 3 years ago, I was one of those early adopters when it came to their AR glasses. In fact, I've still got them back when the company was called XREAL, but these are their XREAL Air AR glasses, a product that offered a set of micro OLED displays for their augmented reality optics and were powered by a phone via a USB-C cable. At the time, you were either able to run them as a standalone device to mimic a display with your devices, or by using their Nebula app, but it was still very limited, which is why last year they created the Beam, a device that made these glasses finally able to deliver a spatial display, great image stabilization, and a way for your glasses to be self-sufficient. Some people loved it, others didn't. I remember those who did being able to install Plex on it and really enjoy their content libraries was like a big plus for them. Gaming as well, like installing Game Boy emulators and connecting a controller was no problem, but it's a device that only offered a one virtual display at the time. Charging wasn't possible while in wire mode, it got hot, and the software was very limited. But just recently, the Beam Pro came into the picture, a device that seems to solve a lot of those limitations that the Beam has, and the point of this device is really for XREAL to take their development into a whole new level. A standalone device allows Nebula to have root access for future development. It also makes it much easier to develop for one device than many different platforms, and by implementing Android, it gives people access to millions of Android apps within this phone-like device. But you know what, when I got this from XREAL, I was like, who in the world would like to carry two devices when you can just carry one? Like, most people, including me, wouldn't want to carry two phone-like devices. And then it occurred to me that I was maybe totally misunderstanding the point of this. You see, when I travel, I see lots of people using their iPads or phones for media consumption. Like, really, we often spend lots of battery life just consuming content on our phones. And some people waste precious travel space by bringing a tablet simply for browsing the net and watching media. But with this, because it runs Android, it sort of enriches that and delivers a whole AR ecosystem. It can open all the apps in the Google Play Store in a spatial environment when you are wearing the glasses. It also does the UI control when wearing the glasses, and its spatial cameras are actually pretty great. So it takes all of your attention away from your phone and creates more room in your EDC by not bringing a tablet. Now, the cool thing is that it doesn't matter which glasses you've got. I've personally have been using the very first iteration of the Airs, but just recently XREAL sent me their Air 2 Pros. And what I really like about these is that they have a self-built-in shade. In fact, with one button, you can just enable it. There's no need to carry around a cover with you, and they work really well, mostly because you can incrementally block different amounts of light. Aside from that, these now use Sony's latest micro OLED displays with a 1080p per eye resolution that supports up to 120Hz refresh rate and can output a projection of 130 inches with a 46-degree field of view. Being made by Sony with colors calibrated by the help of TUV Rainland, I noticed that the image quality has definitely improved. It's extremely well calibrated within most brightness settings. The dark areas are dark, white areas are white. It definitely outputs a very natural OLED image, an image that does feel sharper, Blacks do seem like they are less faded, and the colors are very much like spot on. I did see online people complaining about the blurry edges. Sometimes with the nose pads I see blurry edges at the edge of the virtual display. It's kind of annoying. I sort of need to play with a nose pad to make it go away. Some people even go to the extent of removing them. Other than that, I mean, materials are said to be improved. They sort of feel the same to me. It's got the ability to adjust the nose clip like I mentioned, 3 different option arm adjustment, and they bundle these up with a prescription lens as an accessory. It also has a full built-in speaker system. These sound good, but I feel like they lack in volume at max settings. A pouch is included with these. They do fit well in a bag while traveling. It's sort of like a hard shell case, so they are protected, and you won't look like a mosquito while wearing these, unlike the Vision Pros. You can actually use these as sunglasses while doing some stationary biking, and you can even plug these into a device like your drone remote control to control your drone. Of course, when plugged into the Beam Pros, there are a lot of interesting things that happen here. Like I said, I think for travel, this year is the perfect setup for a lot of people. The Beam Pro is pretty much like a phone without cellular connectivity. It's got a lot of the settings a phone would have. Remember, it's Android based, but think of it as a tablet in a phone-like factor. It's got a 6.5-inch LCD 90Hz display panel with a 1080p resolution, powered by an entry-level Qualcomm chip, low-end but relatively recent 4nm chipset used in budget Android phones. It comes with 6GB of RAM paired with 128GB of storage, and for $50 more you can actually upgrade that to 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. An expandable SD card is available to you, and a whole camera lens setup, which also includes a front-facing camera. All of this runs on Android, and it runs through Nebula OS as an app as soon as you plug the glasses in within Android. The combo really gives you the ability to view Android within sort of like an imitation of what the Apple Vision Pro Grid looks like. With that, the Beam Pro becomes a gyroscopic laser pointer. It features a touchpad-like UI that allows you to scroll through content and click on UI elements. On top of it, you've got a few features like an anti-miss touch button, scan, record, and capture content, as well as a home button to lead you back into the main grid or recenter the pointer. It all works really well, like it really does. Now, you can easily open up a couple of apps and set your whole media and browsing consumption to literally multitask. Of course, this having 8GB of RAM allows for better performance when doing so. However, I've realized that the Beam Pro gets quite warm and can throttle in performance. When you have a full 4K video running and you have another side app running, frames will drop. I find that sometimes running 2 apps side by side smooth isn't quite there yet with this. I'm sure an update can fix that like they recently did with Amazon Prime, but if you watch a 1080p YouTube video and you browse the web, it's definitely a clean experience. With this, the windows can be resized and you can of course adjust their distance for better multitasking. The really cool thing about this is that this very much delivers a space with 3 degrees of freedom, which means that only your head can move. You can look left and right, up and down, as well as rotating left and right. And so the Beam Pro allows for a screen to really feel like you were watching a TV, like virtually. It's that type of stuff that becomes super handy for when, I don't know, say maybe you want to talk to someone next to you on a plane. The fact that you can very much look around you without the screen staying fixed in front of you is so good. From my own experience, a workflow like so can last you for about like 3 hours, I would say. If it does die on you, it only takes about an hour to fully charge by supporting 27 watts of charging. So it's got these 2 USB-C ports, one for charging and the other for the glasses. There's no DisplayPort direct input for something like the Steam Deck, so I guess keep that in mind. When you connect the device into your PC, like let's say you want to transfer files, the phone won't automatically be recognized by the PC. I mean, it will, but the folders will be empty. So you just gotta swipe down and click on USB file transfer turned on. Click on that, tap for more options, and then you can see what you can pretty much do with it file transfer, and then you can just transfer all your files from internal storage. Now, I'm sure you've realized that this has a little tiny orange button on the side. Two things you can do with this. You can either reorient the entire AR space when used, or it opens up the camera app. This here has a stereo camera system on the back, two lenses outputting 50 megapixel images. These are able to record 3D stereo video and photo and gives you that 3D effect that you are looking for when viewing your content. And it really looks like you're there.
Dude, that photo's crazy.
Right? Okay, is it perfect? It's by no means perfect, no, but for a phone-like device, it's pretty darn good. One of the things to look for when viewing 3D images is the spatial image quality and spatial depth. The image quality is actually pretty good. Like if you zoom in, things don't start to get blurry or fuzzy too soon in my opinion. The spatial depth is incredible as it feels like it has that real life depth within the images. It's actually better than the iPhone 15 Pro because the spacing between the lenses is proper. It's really hard to explain on video, but it's like if you were, I don't know, looking at the actual object. It's almost deceiving because you can see it, but it's like not there. Video depth is also good, but I think it could be a tad better. I do prefer the photos much more over the videos currently. Like if you vlog with this, it feels like it lacks a bit in quality. It's almost like you are better off using a tripod or stand to get better videos. The performance in low light conditions is also indeed not very good, but after seeing what the photos can do, I know the hardware has lots of potential. The XREAL team works quite hand in hand with the users to make things better. I know just recently they fixed the shutter speeds, although I feel like it's still a bit slow. But look, overall, the quality of the 3D images and videos that you can produce are actually really solid for what this is. Over the iPhone 15 Pro, it produces much better looking photos and sometimes even videos. Look, I think it's a device that can capture memories and really cool landscapes. Imagine just recalling a memory in your head. It's kind of the same except you can actually visualize it. Remember though, it's something you can only experience by putting AR or VR glasses on, and you can sync these photos with Google Photos and have all your Android photos like I do in one single place. Overall though, I've been asking myself what the company is trying to solve with something like this. And it's actually pretty simple. They just want to be independent within their AR development. From what I understand, normally Android and iOS are fairly locked down operating systems, so the Nebula app can only work within the confinement of its own app. It doesn't see and doesn't have access to any OS level activities, which means that it cannot implement any spatial modes at the OS level. But with the Beam Pro, they've allowed themselves to run a custom version of Android in order to make things work. This gives people access to millions of Android apps in an AR space. It allows for them to have a true virtual media player with them and the ability to record 3D videos using Beam Pro cameras. Plus, unlike many phones, this here actually has a micro SD slot. From my own point of view, I like that this can replace my content consumption. I don't need to drain the battery of my phone or iPad. I'm also provided with a really neat way of consuming content, not only because it's within an AR space, but I can connect any of my earbuds to this. I think it's a really cool experience, and I know it's very niche, but seeing all the people online in the forums talking about it, I've realized these past 3 years that it's got a growing community of people willing to help each other and give the brand feedback. Look, I don't want to make it seem like it's a perfect product because it's not. It still has small little quirks, bugs, things they need to fix. And I've realized this morning that they released an update and they're still working on it. Like the Netflix play button wasn't working. They fixed that this morning, but the image quality looks absolutely amazing. One thing though that I did realize is that between 1080p, 1440p and 4K, the colors change a bit like too drastically. Like mostly the yellows are like very like saturated in 4K. That's one thing. The other thing is that when I'm in the Photos app, XREAL, if you guys are watching this, please fix that. When I'm in the Photos app, sometimes I click on a photo and another photo appears, or if I click on a video, the video just won't play. And another thing that just bothers me is that sometimes when I want to just search for something, whether it's on YouTube or on Google, the keyboard just doesn't appear. It just hides. I guess from me, those are the small little things I've realized from the past few days of using this. It's a really cool product. I really like it, especially like if you're gonna travel, you're gonna be on a plane and you're gonna be consuming content, like really watching like Netflix, YouTube, Disney, Amazon Prime, anything you guys want to watch, you can do it with the glasses and it looks stunning. That being said, my bundle starts at $698. If you are like me though and you've got the very first pair of Air glasses, these do work with Beam Pro. Beam Pro starts at $199 and you can upgrade it for $50 more. This is genuinely a product I really like. I'm really excited to see how things keep evolving in the next 5 years. Already from when I first tried mine almost 3 years ago, I was able to see how quickly these progressed. And now with Beam Pro, it really checks a lot of the boxes for features I wish I had back then, but like always, it creates new ones. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you stay tuned for next week. I've got something really interesting coming up, and I'll see you guys all soon. I guess, take care.